Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a look at a brand new shiny Rotom. You see, that Shiny Star V set over in Japan, it is still doing this thing. We saw a couple the other day, but it's happening more and more here. We're seeing this thing where we're getting new Pokemon, but they're shiny. So today, we got a new Rotom. And this is a brand new Rotom we've never seen before, with a brand new effect, but it also happens to be a shiny Rotom, which is extremely strange to me. Like I said, the equivalent set back for Sun and Moon was GX Ultra Shiny, and they brought us plenty of shiny Pokemon, but they were all reprints, just shiny versions. That is not the case here, ladies and gentlemen. Which is weird to me, but also kind of fun. Speaking of kind of fun, this new Rotom makes me really, really happy. Like, really happy. I could absolutely see myself playing this. Now, our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet. Very lovely person. And if we start off with the basics, we've got a lightning Pokemon, but you're not really hitting much for weakness, There's a few things out there, but there's nothing terribly relevant, and you're not hitting much damage, so don't worry about it. But being a lightning Pokemon does mean you got access to Tapu Koko to accelerate a bit of energy, so that could be fun. Or we've got that new Electrode, so that could be fun. But again, you're probably not attacking with this dude. We've got a retreat cost of 1, which is genuinely awesome because it means you can use U-turn board if you get stuck in the active. We've got a weakness to fighting, which honestly is not ideal. Things like Excadrill, and you know I'm a fan of Excadrill. First attack does 30 damage base. So you add a martial arts dojo, 40 times 2 for weakness, 80. Okay, fine, maybe not for everybody, but it's not a great weakness. Because there's a reason people like me are playing fighting Pokemon right now. And, yeah, the 80 HP is low. Pretty gosh darn low. Very gosh darn low. We don't like it. Hey-ho, can't have it all. What we can have is an ability which is awesome. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for up to 2 item cards with Rotom in their name, reveal them, and put them into your hand. This is going to give you so much consistency. I adore this, ladies and gentlemen. I absolutely adore it. Now, this ability, it lives and dies by the Rotom items, all right? Simple as that. Lives and dies by them. Now, the weird thing is we've had 2 Rotom items, and they both came out in Champion's Path, though one initially came out in Sword and Shield. We've got Rotom Bike, and we've got Rotom Phone. Now, there are actually a couple of others, which we will get to at the end if we can, but they are in the expanded format, so they're not things we need to worry about too much for the time being. Now, Rotom Bike is the one that really, really intrigues me here, because it's one of those that hasn't seen a huge amount of play for obvious reasons. Now, what Rotom Bike does is it lets you draw until you've got 6 cards in your hand, but it ends your turn. And the reason it's never seen any play is basically what I said when I first saw the card. You want to play 4 of these, because it's a turn 1 card, right? So you want to play 4 of them to maximize the chance of drawing into them early game. Really, this is a card you want turn 1 going first. The problem is, after turn 1, there's a very good chance you're never going to want to play this again, because it's going to end your turn. And that's not a good thing. But we can compare it to Zacian V. Now, Zacian V's got the amazing Intrepid Sword ability, which lets you draw 3 cards. But it ends your turn. So why then does Zacian see so much more play than Rotom Bike, given that it will often draw you fewer cards than Rotom Bike, at least if you're playing for it and trying to empty your hand? The reason is simply because Zacian is a Pokemon, and Pokemon are very easily searched. Everyone's playing Quick Ball. Like, everyone's playing Quick Ball. And the thing is, you can grab Zacian and pop it on the bench and use Intrepid Sword and you're fine. Decks like Blacephalon play Zacian, and they want to be attacking every turn. So with Blacephalon, you're basically playing it for if you go turn 1 going first, because you can't attack anyway, or for emergencies. Like, if you're using Zacian as a Blacephalon player and it's not turn 1 and you didn't go first, something's gone wrong. Zacian is another turn 1 option. What we need is a way to reliably search Rotom Bike, so we can have it turn 1 going first, so we can play one copy and know it's there if we need it. Oh, hang on a second, it's Rotom. This should see play. Because essentially what you do, it's turn 1. You've gone first. You're not allowed to attack. So ending your turn doesn't matter. You could put a 2-prize Zacian V on your bench and draw 3 cards, or you could use that very same Quick Ball to search for a Rotom, to grab a Rotom Bike, and then draw till you got 6 cards in your hand. And of course, Quick Ball will empty out your hand a little bit, meaning you draw an extra card with Rotom Bike. And Rotom Bike could draw you up to 6 cards here, which is awesome. It reminds me very much of the new Snorlax that we are going to be getting in Vivid Voltage, that if it's active, lets you draw until you got 7 cards in your hand and then ends your turn. Okay. Sounds good to me. Because what we do is, instead of having a Snorlax in the active, we have Rotom on the bench, and we search out Rotom Bike. Though, to be fair, this will get you 1 fewer card. That does need to be mentioned. That is fairly important. But still, we'll take it. And it is a 2-card option, rather than a 1-card option. Snorlax is 1 card, although you will need to get it into the active. Zacian is 1 card. Rotom and Rotom Bike is 2 cards. And of course, if you're playing both of them as one-offs, there will be a higher chance that one of them ends up being prized. And there's not much you can do about that, except playing multiples, which you might not want to do. But as a turn 1 option, this is beautiful. I love this. I want to be able to play 1 copy of Rotom Bike, but be able to draw it on turn 1 going first if I need it. Rotom does that. I see no reason why this wouldn't see a huge amount of play just for that. This makes Rotom Bike good. Now, there is another option we've got here, and it's Rotom Phone. And I love this. Now, it depends what you're really going for, but Rotom lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose one of them and shuffle the other cards back into your deck, then put the card you chose on top of your deck. Clearly, there is an awesome combo here with Rotom Phone and Oranguru. Oranguru swaps a card in your hand with the top card of your deck, so you search it out with Rotom Phone, put it on top of your deck, Oranguru grabs it. I don't know how much play Rotom Phone is going to see, I honestly don't. It could be great, it could be terrible, it's going to be one of those things that we have to essentially wait and see. But if you're already playing Rotom for Rotom Bike, which I think is the best use for it, why not also play 1 or 2 copies of Rotom Phone and play an Oranguru? And then what you essentially do is you either draw until you've got 6 cards in your hand and you know one of them's a Rotom Phone, or you use Rotom Phone to get one of the top 5 cards on top of your deck and guaranteed to draw that and a bunch of others. And bearing in mind, if you play the Rotom Phone, you will draw 1 more card. So essentially, turn 1, you play Rotom, grab Rotom Phone and Rotom Bike, use Rotom Phone, look at the top 5 cards, put one of them on top of your deck, and then draw until you've got 6 cards in hand with Rotom Bike. And I know that a bunch of people are going to go, yeah, what if your opponent Marnies you? Who cares? What if your opponent reset stamps you? It's early game, you're going to get 6 cards. Who cares? Because the fact of the matter is, if I play Rotom Bike, I'm having a new hand of 6 cards to end my turn. If someone Marnies me, I then have a new hand of, well, 5 cards when I draw. I'm still going to have fewer, but the fact of the matter is, your opponent's going to Marnie you or they're not going to Marnie you. So you might as well do this. And if you don't do this and you've got naffle cards in your hand, your opponent ain't going to Marnie you anyway. So I don't see that as a real issue. I think this adds brilliant consistency. I know it's a slightly more awkward way to go about it, because it's 2 cards rather than 1, but I don't see why this can't be a replacement for Intrepid Sword in single prize decks that really don't want the Zacian on their bench. Also got a retreat cost of 2, which is not ideal. I don't see why this can't be a replacement for Snorlax. I don't see why Rotom and Rotom Bike could not be a phenomenal turn 1 option to draw and end your turn. Because I've seen a bunch of people playing Snorlax and a bunch of people played Tropical Beach, and and a bunch of people play Zacian purely to draw free cards on turn 1 because they don't want to use it again, because if you use it again, you're not attacking. I don't see why that couldn't be the case here. And then, of course, you got the bonus of having Rotom Phone because you're getting 2 cards to get one of those as well. I adore this. Now, if we head over into the expanded format, we do actually have 2 different versions of Rotom decks. Poker Finder mode lets you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and put them back in any order, or shuffle them into your deck. And Rotom decks generally lets you count your prize cards, shuffle them into your deck, and put that many new cards out as prize cards. Essentially, you rejig your prize cards in case something went wrong and you got the wrong card prize. They're both useful cards, and if you're playing an expanded, they are definitely ones that you could be having a bit of a play around with. Silly me, ladies and gentlemen, I actually forgot, I'm chucking this in on the end, I forgot a Rotom card! I forgot about Drone Rotom, which has still got Rotom in its name, so it totally counts. This one is coming out in Vivid Voltage. Your opponent reveals their hand. If they do, you look at the top card of their deck. It gives you a bunch of information. It can actually be really handy for making decisions. So if you want to play a Marnie, for instance, but you're not entirely sure, this will absolutely do that, which is nice. And if you're worried of, whether your opponent's got a boss's orders, so, do I need to get a second of my main basic? This will tell you. It's good for information. I don't think you'd ever really play more than a 1 or 2 of, but I could see this working as a 1 of, and I'm sorry I didn't mention it earlier. Now, as for the attack, it is not the reason you're playing Rotom. 2 energy, 30 damage, flip a coin, if heads, paralysis. It can still win your games. If you're playing something like Tapu Koko to accelerate energy, it can work. And certainly, paralysis can be the difference in games sometimes. And you can play Glimwood Tangle to give yourself a better chance of hitting that heads. But the reality is, even in a lightning deck, you're going to be playing and attacking with this very seldom. The reason to play this is really simple. Turn 1 Rotom Bike, while also having access to Rotom Phone. And you know what? I think that is absolutely a good reason to play it. I'm giving this 5 Wassies, and I know that this is one of those ones that a lot of people might disagree with, but in a world where you can't attack turn 1 going first, so what you really want to do is draw some cards and end your turn. This is a basic Pokemon that can be searched with Quick Ball, has a single retreat so is not going to be stuck in the active, only gives up 1 prize, and can help you draw cards to end your turn. Yeah, I'm in. I would be genuinely stunned if I do not end up playing this in a bunch of decks. But I'd like to know what you think, and I'd like to know if you think you're going to be playing this in a bunch of decks, so let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.